Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here today and for inviting me to be a part of this conference. I have with me Anupriya, who's working on the PPT with me because there's a problem with my computer. So I'll just be asking her to change the slide as we go along. So I just want to start with a very simple truth that every child, no matter where she is born, she deserves the chance to learn, grow, and thrive. And when that opportunity is given to her early in life, it changes everything for her. It changes her family, it changes the generation to come. And at ICTARA, our mission since 2011 has been to make that opportunity real for girls and children from Kolkata's urban slums. And the tool we use is the transformative power of education. Next slide, please. So we began our journey with one clear goal, with one single classroom and an audacious dream. We dreamt that to ensure that every girl, regardless of her background, should be able to access quality education and make informed life choices. Today, ICTARA supports more than 5,000 children through an independent learning center and through government school partnerships. We also work on empowering women and mothers with skill training, employment, and ensuring that the entire family grows together. We believe that when you educate a girl, you don't just change her life, you also transform an entire community. Because poverty is not merely the absence of income, it is the absence of opportunity, of safety, and of voice. Next slide. Let us take a moment to understand the place where we work. We work in the slums of Kolkata, which has nearly 1.5 million people living in conditions that most of us cannot even imagine. There are shared washrooms between 12 to 15 families. There is no clean water. There's little or no access to quality schooling. Most families in these slums live below the poverty line. For many families, sending a child, especially a girl, to school is a luxury. Girls face enormous risks. There is early marriage, there's child labor, there's trafficking, and these are all realities. Women experience abandonment and abuse, and yet, amidst all this adversity, there is a lot of resilience. There are parents who want their children to have a better future, and children whose eyes light up at the thought of going to school. It is for them that ICTARA exists. As education isn't just a right, it is a lifeline. It is the only sustainable way out of poverty. Next slide. At ICTARA, we run a number of programs that supports a child learning. Some of them are the early years, the primary years, the higher education program. We also work on child welfare and parental engagement. We have music school, which is called the Tomorrowland Foundation Music and Arts School. And we have our government school projects, which we categorize under SELI, which is the Strengthening Early Learning Initiatives, where we work with government schools for value-added programs on early learning. Each stage is designed to ensure that learning never stops. But amongst these, one program that stands out as a real game changer is the Early Years program. Because if we want to end poverty, we must begin at the beginning. Next slide. Early education is where the story really begins. Research and our own experience shows that the first 8 years of a child's life are the most critical for brain development. It is when language, curiosity, confidence, empathy, cognitive skills, everything takes root. For children in poverty, these years can determine whether they will ever step into a classroom or drop out even before they learn to read. They miss the opportunity to be in school, which means they can never catch up. By the time she enters a formal school, she's already behind in literacy and numeracy. She loses confidence, she disengages, and the dropout cycles begin. Globally, over 250 million children remain out of school, and weak early education systems for the poor are a major contributor. When early education is done well, it is nurturing, it is play based, it is inclusive, and it changes the trajectories of life. It doesn't just prepare a child for school, it prepares the child for life. Next slide. Our early years program nurtures 350 children ages 3 to 9 from the slums of Kolkata. We use a Montessori guided play based approach to build foundational literacy and numeracy through phonics, early writing, and math readiness. Our classrooms are vibrant spaces, they have color, they have curiosity, and they are led by 18 Montessori trained educators who are themselves women from the same community. They are role models of what is possible. Every child receives books, uniforms, daily nutritious meals through our own community kitchen, which ensures that hunger never stands between them and learning. This program doesn't just educate children. It creates safe spaces of joy and stability. It creates belonging in an environment where these are often in short supply. This is just more than a preschool. It is a safe, inspiring space. And the children who come to us learn to dream, they learn to speak up, and they learn to believe in themselves. Next slide. Early education is not about ABCs and numbers. It is about nurturing curiosity, empathy, and self confidence. Our students learn through sensory based play, dancing, painting, singing, teamwork, and these activities build motor skills, emotional intelligence, and social bonds. These small steps have very big impact. Confident children are less likely to drop out of high school and far more likely to pursue higher education and get good jobs eventually. Each confident learner that we nurture is one more step towards breaking the cycle of intergenerational poverty. A confident learner today is a resilient adolescent tomorrow. And resilience is what keeps the girls in school, helps them to transition to higher education, and eventually access dignified livelihoods. Next slide. Our outcomes at ICTARA have been both measurable and deeply human. Quantitatively, we've achieved 98% successful transition rates from one educational stage to the other. Indirectly, over 10,000 parents are now more engaged in their children's education. But the true impact lies in the stories of our children. Mahinur, who's one of the early graduates, is now pursuing a bachelor's in commerce and finance. She is the first in her family to attend college. Razia, who was once a timid girl from the community, we at Iktara trained her through a vocational program and she earned a nursing degree. And today, she serves as the in-house nurse in our center, a symbol of care returning home. Rizwana, who is another alumni, she works in our library initiative. She recently translated a children's book from English to Bengali. She is bridging worlds through words. Each of these stories began with early education. Each of these is a proof that with the right start, poverty is not their destiny. Next slide. What is the link between early education and poverty reduction? It is not theoretical, it is evidence based. Children in rural Karnataka who attended preschool scored twice as high on cognitive tests as those who didn't. Only 6.2% of 5-year-olds in rural India attend early education. Those who do are far less likely to drop out later. Early learning outcomes strongly predict later income and well-being. Girls who access quality learning education are 9 to 16% less likely to marry early and complete more years of schooling. According to Nobel laureate James Heckman and the World Bank, every dollar invested in early childhood yields a 13% annual return. This is higher than most financial instruments. So, early education is not charity, it is strategy. It is one of the smartest, most cost-effective investments we can make for sustainable development. Next slide. At ICTARA, our goal is to sustain and expand this work. Supporting one child in the early years program costs about $150 per year. What does this amount include? In this amount, we provide for learning materials, books, classroom supplies, learning tools, uniforms, everyday nutritious based meals from our community kitchen, the teachers' training, parental engagement workshops, and safe spaces where learning is celebrated. Imagine what can happen if 350 young minds receive this foundation every year. Imagine that collective potential. The teachers, the nurses, the entrepreneurs, and the leaders that these children can become in the future. Last slide. As we conclude, let's return to the central question of this conference. Can we have the last slide, please? How do we build a world where poverty is not inherited, but opportunity is? The answer begins in the early years. When a 3-year-old girl from Kolkata learns her first letter, she's just not learning to read. She is rewriting her future. When a mother learns to sign her name, she reclaims her agency over her life. And when a community embraces education, it redefines what is possible. Early education is not a small beginning. It is the foundation upon which equitable societies are built and will continue to be built. It is the bridge between aspiration and achievement, between poverty and prosperity. So I invite you, as educators, policymakers, donors, and change makers, to invest where it matters the most: in the first classroom, in the first teacher, and in the first year of a child's life. Together, let us ensure that every child has the right start, because with that start, there is no limit with how far she can go. Thank you.
Very good, Sarita ji. This is another excellent presentation. Group greeter with your greetings. Now, what I want to indicate before we get into a very short question answer session is the Indian culture and the heritage for many years has a potent mind which has to be given opportunity to flourish, and the last two presentations are just doing that. So the whatever the suppression we experienced for last few hundred years, we are reigniting this, and so every effort this people are doing is very outstanding, and it can catch to a scalable level with Avi's help on the processes and the rest of the team working with the financial and approval and other aspect of it. So 2047, the dream that India has, these are the efforts are very important. We see people coming from corporate world, we see people coming from the design schools like Vinita ji, and we will entertain two quick questions because of time limits. Is anybody has a question for her? I'm sure I have one that I can go with it. Is this the scaling of this and the process is the same thing apply as we discussed in previous presentation? What unique thing that you have learned that we should know that will help us in aspect of helping others?
So, I think, thank you, Mr. Desai, for your question. So, as I have emphasized, how early years programs and early learning is really important. Sometimes we tend to, neglect that, and sometimes children are joining much later in terms of these communities we are working with. But we really do motivate and inspire our parents and our communities to start education at the age of 3, which is the right age from which children should be taught. We also try to educate the mothers at that level. So we have a very solid parental engagement program because the parents are equal partners in the children's education, especially when the children are so young, between the ages of 2 to 6 or 8, when their brains are still growing. So we do a lot of parental engagement. We know that the parents must be there with the children and how they can engage even in more productive and constructive ways with the children. And so I think I want to emphasize that the what we are trying to bring out is that it is over all these communities and all over our country, for all marginalized communities, that the earliest program is very important.
Good.
So what we have done is we have developed our own numeracy and our FLN program, which is functional numeracy and literacy. And what we are doing is we are scaling this by providing this to government schools in Kolkata Municipal Corporation and the state government schools. So we are working with the government schools in using our FLN program and using our best practices from our earliest program, so that these modules can be scaled. And we want to really specialize in this, although our programs go up to children who finish their schooling K to 12 and go to college. But unless the early years program is very, very consolidated and very sound, we will not get the quality later. So we are really scale this, and we're really trying to work only on this part as our scaling programs.
Very good. Thank you.
We call it the strengthening early learning initiatives, as I mentioned in one of the
Correct.
slides.
Early learning and scaling it is your point, and that is excellent point. And I think the 2047 dream that India has, which is now working on a many dimension, all of these or most of these programs somehow become part of the arrow in that support, and that will give us a more momentum than onesie twosie efforts. I do not know, and Mohanji might know, what is this 2047 vision has to do with all this program. Are they connected, or can they be connected, or should they be connected? Just raising a point to think through, us as a group. All right, thank you.
I also want to answer Mr. Dadaboy's question, which is put on the chat.
Oh, okay.
Do we have any education for kids from 3 to 12 for discipline, for stamina, for martial arts training, etc.? Yes, we do. And we do consider this extremely important. I'm so glad for you've asked this question. We consider this extremely important because it's also very therapeutic for them. It is very important to channelize their energies. And also, it works in many ways. It works in increasing concentration, increasing discipline. So we have a lot of co-curricular activities at IDCA. In fact, like I mentioned, we have a separate school for music and arts, and we do have sports activities like martial arts, which doesn't need like outdoor spaces because we do not have like places for kids to go out and play. But martial arts is definitely one of our very important programs in IDCA. So I agree with you that maybe we should expand on it more, and maybe we should build upon this even more, Mr. Dadaboy.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you.